right here. Ain't sleep, hell, snow, but until then, I'll be posted up right.
Well, welcome to the widely talked about presidential election questionnaire. The first of its kind for many years here at Swinburne. Myself, Mark Briers, and I, station manager and general manager of 3SSR respectively, have given Def Jar a break this week. He's going to be back next week with all your hip-hop related news. It's going to be a fantastic ripper of a show. Very excited to be joined by James and Liz, respectively, from opposing parties here at the presidential election for Student Union President. Said presidential twice then. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for joining us today. How are you both?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Well, thank you. Thanks for...
Fantastic. Well, this is going to be a great opportunity for our listeners and for people around Swinburne to get to know the both of you, get to know what your respective parties are standing for. And I might just kick it off with you, James, if you don't mind. Could you tell us a little bit about your ticket change?
Yeah, no worries. Well, basically who we are is we're a group of students who are actively involved with clubs and activities on campus, who sort of want to use the union to sort of improve campus life. So personally, I've been very involved with SDC and the Space Bar. I've started the Swinburne music scene. I've volunteered with SSAA for years. So a lot of our other candidates are involved with SDC as well. So we're kind of from the grassroots of the campus, and we want to use the union not for divisive political issues. So we want to sort of depoliticise the union and make it about politics on campus rather than broadly politics as a whole, and sort of make the union relevant again and sort of save it from financial ruin.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I guess on that note of change, we'll go to our very first song of the playlist today. One song called Change by Daniel Merriweather. You're listening to 3SSR, coming to you directly from Swinburne Tower.
Ain't shit changing, but diapers on babies get higher than the background singer singing.
Daniel Merriweather, Change. Fantastic little track there. I prefer the version that features Phrase. Great Aussie artist. Now, we are lucky to be joined here in Swinburne Tower. Can one tower contain so many big personalities? My own ego has a hard time fitting in the room here. Now, we are going to cut to you, Liz. Liz Walsh is the representative for Student Voice. Now, Liz, we'll invite you to tell us a little bit about Student Voice.
Sure. Well, Student Voice, students have been involved in campaigns on campus this year. And the key campaigns that we've taken up have really focused around the questions of international student rights. The conditions that international students face have been deteriorating and simmering underneath the surface for some years now, and then we've seen a real spate of racist attacks on Indian students this year. And one of the most impressive things has been the campaign by the Indian students themselves in trying to fight back and oppose racism. And our students, people involved in Student Voice, have been standing up alongside them throughout the way. We've been at the demonstrations, we've petitioned, we stayed with them overnight in the Flinders Street intersection to show our solidarity. And I think this is really crucial for domestic students to show that it's not just a question of international students or Indian students fighting it out alone. Actually, we need to stand up together and have a strong student body. So that's also meant we've taken up the question of concession cards. We think that it's a question of discrimination, that the state government here is denying international students concession cards. We've been part of the campaign that's collected 15,000 signatures that have been tabled in Parliament this year around concession cards. And there's actually been a concession card coalition set up that's actually organised this campaign, the demonstrations and so on. And our opponents have not been there once.
Thanks, Liz. I'll just have to cut you off there, just so we have an accurate timing of the both of you, just in fairness there. But that all sounds very interesting. And now, because we cut to a song before Change, couldn't really get a song about voice, but it's a song by a famous voice. This is a track that I like to call, well, because it's called Treaty by Yothu Yindi. What do you see as the union's role here at Swinburne?
Well, I see the union working on the ground with students with issues that are relevant to students here. So specifically, I see the union getting advocacy back from SSAA, ideally. We're going to try to negotiate a funding agreement to run advocacy through the union so that it's actually independent of the university and SSAA. I see the union working very closely with clubs, so hopefully contributing funds and resources to clubs, because as you guys well know, SSAA can be quite stingy with funds for clubs at times. And I see us just being on the ground, providing things for students, talking to students. We're not going to try to enforce our views on students. We're not going to try to make them sign petitions and go to rallies. I really just see SSU as getting back to the grassroots level and working with students and helping them with issues here on the ground.
What do you see as the union's role here at Swinburne?
Well, I think the student union needs to be a political body. I think that our opponents, the change candidates, are quite reluctant to see the student union as a political body. But I think that is one of its main key values for students. We already have the SSAA providing the bands, the beer, the parties, etc. But what we don't have, if the student union stops, turns into what the change people want, is a student union that speaks up for students' rights, that does actually encourage students to get involved in the campaigns. This is grassroots. I'm not sure what people think grassroots is if it's not petitioning, if it's not going to the demonstrations and so on. So I think that students are concerned about the questions of racism. I think students are concerned about the questions of homophobia. I think that homophobia itself is what's divisive, and actually a student union that refuses to speak up about these questions is a student union that is further dividing the student population. We want to win students to the questions of same-sex marriage rights, support for international students, and taking up these questions seriously.
Sure, Liz. One question I have directly for you from that statement is, if the student union needs to be political, why don't we just form a political club from SSAA funds and leave the student union to provide for students basic services like they used to and like the SSAA does now?
Well, the question of the student union is that when VSU was introduced in 2005, the university administration here at Swinburne went on the attack. They were one of the most aggressive university administrations around the country, taking away the services that the student union used to provide. And so the university has an interest in there not being a political body on this campus. They don't want a student union that defends student rights, that speaks up around these questions. So they're not going to fund a body that they think is actually going to criticise them, but we need to be prepared to criticise them nonetheless.
I'll also bring you back to the point of why VSU was brought about in the first place, and that was a lot of the politicians at the time saw the union as being too political and not representing students themselves, and that's why they did go back to VSU.
Well, that was the Liberal Party.
That's
the
it,
Liberal Party are particularly anti-student student and anti-student union. And there was actually one of the biggest student campaigns in decades in support of student unionism. We had thousands and thousands of students rally month after month in support of student unions. So I don't think you can say that actually these politicians were reflective of where most students were at. They supported their student union and came out on the streets to show it.